Hello and welcome to this week's Gig Harbor Market Update. We're going to be talking about something national today, specifically the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, releases a report every year about essentially what are the demographics and who's buying and selling homes. And it's a pretty lengthy report, so it's going to take a couple of videos for me to do this. I think chapter 1, I think there's 7 chapters. We're going to do chapter 1 in this video, and we can just kind of line them up here on a playlist. So that's what I'll do. Anyway, I'm going to get into it, but first for the sip of coffee. Okay, here we go. This is the Home Buyers and Sellers Generational Trends Report of 2023, done by the NAR Research Group. Okay, let's see. And we got alphabet soup here. It was interesting. They do have a report on how important it is to have gobbledygook or alphabet soup after your name. Turns out it's not important at all. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so we did this. There are 7 chapters here. Chapter 1 we're going to start with is the characteristics of home buyers. It's about 20 pages, and then at the end they have 2 chapters on sellers, and then some other stuff in between: home search process, buying and selling with real estate professionals, and financing of the home purchase, and then methodology, which we won't cover. NAR, finding the representation of Latino buyers and sellers troubling. I see that, and Asians too. Oh my goodness. The woke intern who made this, please get your game up to snuff. Okay, as you can see, well, we'll get into it, but Latinos actually make up a larger portion of home buyers than African Americans. So anyway, this is some introduction. You can read it. It does break down each age group and kind of gives a little summary of what the findings are. But we're going to start here at the chapter 1. This is an executive summary we're going to read real quick. I pulled out I highlighted the most important points here. We'll start with first-time home buyers made up 26% of all home buyers, a decrease from 34% of last year. Boomers made up the largest generation of home buyers at 39%, and I'm gonna guess that they also made up the largest portion of sellers because they're the ones that own the most homes. Now, Gen Xers had the highest household incomes of any generation at $114,000 in 2022, followed by older millennials with a median household income of $102,000. 61% of recent buyers were married couples, 17% were single females, and that really jumps out at me, 17%. And you'll see that's not even like old women, that have been widowed. Like that's, that goes through all the intergenerational brackets. And 10% were unmarried couples. Let's see, 31% of all buyers had children under the age of 18 living at home. 14% of home buyers purchased a multi-generational home to take care of and spend time with aging parents. And then for all home buyers under the age of 58, the main reason for purchasing remains the desire to own their own home, versus older age groups who already had owned their own home and it's no longer a desire, therefore want to move to be closer to friends and family, and then followed by a reason to downsize. Okay, that's pretty much the executive summary. Now we can go look into some of these things. Here, this is age of home buyers. Basically, Gen Xers and Boomers made up the biggest portions of home buyers, followed by older Boomers, older Millennials, and then followed by younger Millennials. And then Gen Zers and Silent Generation take up the last bit here. But you can see this median age group here as well, in case you're interested in how old the median person is that filled this out. Okay, household income of home buyers. This is quite interesting. So the 85 to 100,000 was the most common number for all buyers, and then between 18 to 32. And then it jumps up here, of course, as you do get promoted and you grow in your career to 100 and 125, basically for the rest of the age groups here. And then all buyers, it actually does jump up to $200,000 or more, 12%, which is large. And that has to do with the fact that Gen Xers here, a whopping almost 25% of them made more than $200,000. And then this is household income. And so a median, it was 114 for them. We talked about that already. And then for the silent generation, you know, they're on Social Security and not making that much money anymore. They're not in the workforce, and they're, you know, towards the tail end. So the oldest and the youngest generation here, you know, they're not married per se, so you know it's just one person's income, and the fact that they're just starting out in their careers goes to show that, you know, they don't have much purchasing power. Okay, next. This is the composition of home buyer households. This is basically saying that married couples made up the majority of home buyers. You know, less so for the younger generations that aren't married yet. But then we have the single female, which is here. You know, more single females bought homes in the Gen Z group than married couples. And here we have all buyers. So we see that 17%. So almost twice as much. Twice as many homes were purchased by single females than single males. And unmarried couples, here 20%, 13%, and 11%. That's probably because they haven't had a chance to get married yet, but it's also a big caution sign that if you buy a property together, what happens if you split? It's a little, you know, at least the courts can figure it out for married couples. When you're not married, you really have no recourse if you put money in together. You have to find that out, figure out yourself how to do that. But this was surprising that so many single females. See, this didn't surprise me back here. Usually, you know, there are widowers or widows, I guess, that that have lost their husband and, you know, buy homes themselves. But the fact that this goes all the way back to 24 to 32 years old, that was surprising to me. Maybe they're getting paid more than men. I can't believe it. This is number of children under the age of 18 residing in the household. Basically none is the highest one, except for, well, it also is highest for the older millennials here, but older millennials have the largest amount of kids under 18 living at home, between 3 or more, and then followed by, you know, this is as they have kids, and then, you know, kind of tapers off there, and then these age brackets here, the older boomers and silent generation, is maybe, that's interesting, that one under the age of 18, like, maybe it's relatives as well. I think they include in relatives as well. So maybe this isn't just children, because, you know, if you're having kids that, was that 78, was say 60 years old, that's 7%. That seems kind of high. But this isn't too striking. Yeah, this is the primary kid having age, especially 18 to 23, no longer. They're all going to school. Well, a lot of them going to school now, or just starting out in their careers, and it's really expensive to have children. So, you know, they're delaying till here, really. Okay. Home purchases. This is so the multi-generational homes. Let's see, the reasons for the purchase of a multi-generational homes. So, how many households are multi-generational? So of all buyers, about 14%, which is a pretty large number. And you can see that breakdown between demographics, it's or age groups. It's quite balanced, I'd say. Let's see, healthcare. So for the reason for the purchase was most often was for health and caretaking of aging parents. So that was the number one. And wanted a larger home. Multiple incomes could afford. So for interestingly enough, 43% of the older boomers wanted a larger home. 37% also within the younger millennials wanted a larger home. And so that was then weighted heavily versus, it's interesting that only 8% of the Gen Xers want a larger home. But that weighted us heavily towards the 21%. And then why was a multi-generational home purchased was because the relatives or children moved back home that are over 18. And then finally here, it says children and relatives never left that are above 18. So that was also 16%. And then this is none of the above one at 19. I don't know if, you know, respondents filled out the survey correctly. Maybe they just said none of the above, we are not a multi-generational household, because I mean, those seem like the reasons for having privacy, like, or reduced privacy, would be at the benefit of one of these. Anyway, that takes care of that. We can skip that. Oh, the ethnicity. Come on. Like, where's my representation of Latinos here? Come on. All right, homebuyer education. We don't care for that. Language spoken. Don't care for that. Military. Basically, it was interesting, this trend is like an upward swing in military and what is this, veterans. I think basically it's getting expensive for education, so maybe the army or the military is, you know, contributing to the education, making education affordable. But basically we have a swing here, and so most home buyers are not in, or were in the military. This is first-time homebuyer group in ages. This is unsurprising to see that, towards the older generations, they are not first-time homebuyers because they've had all this time to purchase their first home. But it goes to show that it's never too late to purchase your first home, even at the age of 76, or up to 76, 70%. So that's pretty much it. And surprisingly here, 70% of younger millennials are purchasing their first home because you have to start somewhere. All right, prior living arrangement, we can just go over this quickly. It's not so important. Basically, I don't understand how 50% of 18 to 23-year-olds own their own home. That doesn't make much sense. I think maybe they filled it out saying that their parents own their own home, or it was like the family's home. But 23% of millennials, this is their second home purchase, which is interesting. 40, 60, 70, so you can see that this isn't, a lot of these age groups have already owned a home prior to buying. And then here we have rented or house or apartment prior to buying, and we can see that as expected, these age groups have rented, waiting to have enough money to buy their first home. And I don't know if the rest of this is really important. Did not pay rent. This is good if you can get your parents, relatives, or friends to give you essentially free room. It helps you with your down payment. So 21% of 18 to 23-year-olds don't have to pay rent. Okay, primary reasons for purchasing a home. Let's see, in the younger generation, this is desire to own their own home. The older generations have already done that, and there's, that innate desire is no longer there. And that switches to desire to be closer to friends, family, and relatives. As you retire, you have more time on your hands, and you want to spend it with those that you love and enjoy time with, and not just going to work. So that's why that's that. Versus, the Gen Xers, they want to be here close to work, or conveniently along a transit line. Primary reasons for timing of the home purchase. It was interesting that it was just the right time. We were just ready to buy a home. A lot of people just kind of have that, kind of click, and then all of a sudden, I want to buy a home. So that's an interesting phenomenon. Other homes owned. This is, let's see. So here we have recently purchased home only, so this is, they don't have any other properties. And then this one here, one or more investment properties. So 8% of all buyers have an investment property. Less so here at the younger range. They have some catching up to do, the young millennials. We can see that, that's 7, 8, 9, 9, 7% of people own investment properties, at least one or more. And it's pretty easy to do. You just buy your first home, and then when you're ready to get out of it, you just rent it out. And that's how you get your first investment property. And then these aren't so interesting. And that's it. That's it for chapter 1. And then chapter 2 we can do next time. That is on characteristics of homes purchased. So I don't know if you learned something, but it was just interesting to see who's currently buying homes in 2023 and where you fall within those demographics. And if you want a better breakdown about who you are individually and how you stack up with your peers, you can go and read this introduction section. Here it says for Gen Xers, for older millennials and younger millennials, and kind of get a sense of where you are and this whole grand scheme of things. It's never too late to buy your first home, and if you feel like you missed the train, you can buy a home, your first home in 76. So don't worry, don't kick yourself. There's a lot of people that just don't like where they live enough to buy, and are just waiting, or you just don't have enough money at the onset. So just keep working, and that's it for chapter 1. Chapter 2 is probably next week here, and I'll see you in that video.